So, I'm playing little phone. What I'm going to do is start at the top and work. So manifestly, I'm going to start with the sky. One of the ways we did start with the sky, let me get a color organized first. I thought I had a painting there somewhere. This is just sketchily washed, excuse me, while I clean it up properly, which I should have done before. Too busy talking. Because, as you know, if you want true color, you've got to have a clean palette. That's the first thing. Now, I want a fair amount of paint run into them wanting. One of the things I suggested to you was to wet the surface first and let the sky drift in as you're working it.
I can't see anything.
Right, so no, can you see it now? Yeah. So I'm making a pharaoh mix of ultramarine there. And I add.
Oh, there you are. There you are. That's right.
Right. So I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine to alizarin crimson, just to get a sort of purpley color, just in case I want to go slightly darker. Right. Now, so I've rinsed the brush out. I'll rinse it out again so that is absolutely clean and it's only got water on it. Now, I'm going to start at the top and work down as far as the roof with just plain water, so you won't see anything much. Well, you won't see anything. Is this called wet on wet? Yes, wet on wet, but in this case, the wet is just plain water, where paint into paint as well. I'll be doing a bit of that. So I'm starting, I can. And where it's puddled down here, I'm just going to pick it up so that it doesn't run back. Sorry, I'm picking up the edge of the water where the meniscus is, so that it doesn't run back into the sky. Okay, so dry the brush because you've got the paint the color you want it, and you've got water on your page anyway. Where am I going to put? I think I'll put it here.
Can't see.
Sorry. So I'm just putting it along the side here. I might add some clean water to the edge just to take off the hard edge a bit that's working here. And then I want to put in a bit of the dark cloud coming over. Oops, Emma, can't see that either, can you?
No, can't see a thing now.
Oh, sorry. It's going to be a lot of help to you when you get the video.
Well, the net connection is being a bit peculiar, so.
Right. So I'm just trying to make the sky a bit more interesting. I'm putting a bit of this purple into the blue. That's wet in wet. Right. So that what it's done is to make a darker purple over there than over there. And then as we come nearer to the horizon line, I'm again putting hardly show. And because I put the water in first, it doesn't run anywhere else. It stops there. Provided you don't make it too wet, it won't run down the page and create mayhem all over for you. It just gives you a bit more control over what it is you're trying to paint. I don't think it's a beautiful sky, but most of the time people don't look at the sky. It's just something in to
Can't see it.
to make it not flat color. I don't like that splodge there. So while it's wet, you can move it. Once it starts to dry, leave it. Let the little bits of pigment fall into the cracks and crevices of the paper, and be happy together. If you start mucking about with it, you get all kinds of weird and wonderful mistakes. But it just looks like you're trying to make something right again. If it's not right, leave it, because it's very likely not very important, and nobody will notice except you. And when you look at it again the next morning, you won't notice it yourself. Now you'll notice, looking at the picture, I haven't put the trees in. I'm quite happy not to put the trees in until it's dry. I could put the trees in now, but I think I will personally have more control over what I'm doing if I leave the trees to go on when the paint is dry, or dry-ish, depending on how we get on. Now, the next thing I want to do is to put the roof in of that, and that's a darker color of the sky, really, isn't it? Okay, so if I take ultramarine, whoops, sorry. If I take ultramarine, mix it with alizarin.
Bit higher, please.
Now that's quite dark. I don't want it as dark. Don't want it as dark as that. Nor do I want it as purple as that? Maybe I want it a little bit more blue. That's better. That's a better color. Now, if I let it run down, you can see the paint running down into the crevice. The color I've got up here, not the color I've got in the puddle, is the color that the paint will come out, dry out on the paper. So you've got a fair idea of the depth of tone that you've got. If you, is there anybody over here? There's Anne, isn't there? If you look at that, you've got a better idea of the color that you're going to be actually putting on the paper, rather than looking at this puddle, which is quite dark. It dries lighter, yes. And that puddle is just concentrated pigment. And up here, the pigment is what you've got on here. Okay, so I'll start to put in the roof. I might miss out the skylights. It's a bit like that, isn't it? Right, so.
Can't see a thing.
Pardon?
Can't see a thing.
Probably neither can I if I don't tilt it.
Yeah, we need to crack this.
At some stage. We need to crack this at some stage. Now, there is a white line there. And this is actually wet, so it's bleeding back into the sky. But I'm not worried about that, actually. I don't mind. If that's what it wants to do, that's fine by me. So there's a line here. And there's a line there. This comes down here. Now, one of the things about Arsh is that you get...
See. Yeah, I know. I know. It's really annoying.
About, you'll just have to pretend you can see it on the video. Okay. One of the things about Arsh is that you get this sort of deco edge when you're painting, which is actually quite attractive. You don't have to have precise edges. That sort of makes it more watercolory, right? So, and then this comes actually, it's got a sort of line. This, oh God. This line here is a little bit Right, so you can see there people inside. You can see all that nice little sort of furry bit around the edge of the picture, which I find very attractive. There we are. So I'm pulling this down. I've got to leave a white edge there somewhere because of the thing. I put it down to where it is there.
Can't see.
And it is, yeah, it's also here. And that break, I just find attractive, that break in the
Color.
color on the thing just says watercolor to me. So I'm not going to get excited about that. It's the texture of the roof. You know, it catches the light differently. So
Can't see.
I just, sorry, I can't paint.
Like I said, we're going to have to sort this.
Yeah, there we are. And I can't see what's over here. I'm just going to put a bit of roof in there just to make the thing. So you can see I've made a start at getting the colors of the roof and in where it is. What's that? Well, it's not that. Rachel can't see it here. She can't see it on the video if I don't have it flat, and I can't see what I'm painting if I don't have it up. Right, now, if I look at my picture, okay,
Yes.
folks, there's a band of whitish here, and then you've got this nice sort of vaguely brick color around here. Okay, so if I get that in, I begin to explain the picture. I begin to explain this. Can you see how I'm painting down to break lines? There's a line picture of the roof changes slightly. So that gives me a break line between the top roof and the second roof. And then there's a huge band of white here, which gives me a lovely break line between the roof and this bit down here. So I don't have to get excited about or worried about painting near to something else. I've got those break lines to paint up to. When I've got there, I can stop and think and get in control again. I think what you've got to do is look hard, spend more time looking, and then put the paint on. So putting the paint on isn't long. It's the looking and judging that takes the time. You will also notice when you come to look at the picture that I've actually got cauliflowers from the roof into the sky. I'm not going to worry about them, not at all. It adds to the fact that it's a watercolor. That's what watercolor does. There is a bit of a straight line there, which is nice. So it does define the roof to some extent. So, you know, these are accidental things that happen, and you just don't need to worry about them too much. Now, I need to look for that brick color, which is actually quite difficult. I'm going to try transparent orange.
Ooh.
I love you.
It's a lovely color.
It is a lovely color. And it's a fairly new color. Last 4 or 5 years, transparent orange has arrived, which is nice. So for the benefit of clergy, there's the transparent orange. Now I think that's a little bit fierce. So I'm going to add, what am I going to add? I'm going to add some raw sienna or ochre. I can't remember which one this is. See if it calms it down a bit. That's better. Calmed it down a bit.
Can't actually see.
Sorry.
There it is. Okay.
So
yes.
that's a mix of, whoops, clean the brush, pick up clean water, dry the brush, pick up clean water. There's a sequence if you want. Right. Oh, and I want enough paint so that I don't have to worry about it too much. Right. Now I can go straight from there into the yellow ochre because I don't mind if I put a bit of orange on my yellow ochre. So I'm not putting more water on, I'm just adding a bit more yellow ochre to get this back to what it was before. And what the yellow ochre has done is to just tone down the orange a bit. Even this might be a bit fierce, but I'd rather that than the other way around. So we've got a bit here somewhere.
Can't see
Sorry,
it.
darling. No comment.
Okay, folks, this is going to be a very peculiar video.
Right. Now it goes down into a hedge there, so I'm just going to leave that. I see it's a bit strong. So I'll get a clean rag. Blot it out. Yeah, it's a bit quieter. Well, that's a bit quieter. Right, now I can't, in fact, that's at the back. Right, okay, I'll just carry on. Just tie a knot and carry on. So I'm putting it on this wall here. Again, I'm itself as we come down, and it goes, oh golly, it goes down to a line. Again, another white line. It's a stringer, if you know anything about architecture. We've got another one here. And I paint down. Sorry, Rachel. It should be crossways, not up and down like that. Right, and then what happens? Yes, there is some around here. That sort of square window on this corner, octagonal corner, which seems to go right down. Okay. And I don't know what happens around here, so I'll just, because there's trees in the way, I'll just put a bit of something down to act behind the trees. And then there's a bit more here, but this is largely covered by the trees too. So I'll just sort of put it in. Right, now then, let's look and see what we can do while it's still wet. If I put a mere smear of burnt sienna in that.
Can't see.
I'm not doing anything, I'm only mixing paint. I'm putting some burnt sienna in that.
Okay.
Because underneath this white line here there is a shadow. If I put that in now while it's wet, let it run down into the this side is actually darker, so I can do it that way, and that gives me a nice corner. A little bit less over here, not quite so adventurous. And this comes down side out. This is just, oops. Now, I've got quite a sharp edge there that I don't really want. So I've rinsed the brush. It's a practically dry brush. I rinsed it and dried it. And I just run the brush over the edge there, just to make that edge a little less precise. Just allow it to come down. Right, okay.
Okay. Can't see. Thank you.
Right, so made that a little bit darker. I think I can actually tice it down a bit more. I think this area here is also getting the dark bit, and underneath there's a sort of balcony here underneath that bit there, which is also darker there. Right, so we'll leave it at that. Now let's look at the roof. The roof is more or less dried. So if I take the roof color was ultramarine and
Glycerin.
alizarin. Now I want it darker this time. So how do you get it darker? You put more paint. That one might be dark enough. Now, if I look at the picture, there's a dark streak there, and it comes down, whoops, down this edge here. And that's darker down there as well. So I'll see if I can ice it out a bit. This area here is darker. Sorry, Rachel.
I can see actually.
Oh. No, nobody else can. Right.
Oh
And
dear.
it comes down here too. Now again, I've got that much too sharp coming down here as well. That edge is much too sharp. I have to do something about that. This part is also, now by using the breaking up of the surface because of the paper that is here, I'm getting a broken surface, which I'm liking. This is definitely in the dark, so I'll just put that in too while I'm at it. Oddly enough, the light seems to be catching that side of it. I don't understand why that's happening. Now, I don't like these sharp edges. So again, I've rinsed the brush in the clean water, dried the brush, just run the brush down the edge of the part that I want to be less sharply edged, because it just isn't that sharp.
8 minutes.
Oh gosh, I haven't done anything, have I? Yeah.
We
Right.
had technical difficulties.
Yeah. Right. So again, I'm putting the paint in. Now, while I've got this paint on, I can put in some of the windows too, can't I? Because we've got here those are windows there too. I'm not being very particular about them, just sort of bunging them in more or less what I can see. There's this, and that comes down there. And it repeats itself a bit bigger there. And those seem to be just straight down for some reason. Right? We don't need to do much more than that to actually get the windows in. I thought I was going to finish this today, but I'm manifestly not. And I don't want to hurry it, because if I did that, it would, I'd just be displeased with it and then throw it in the bin. No, I don't want to do that. So I can go on with painting this next week, but what I'm going to get you to do is to use the papers that I will be bringing for you. I've got 4 or 5 different papers for you to try. Next week, yeah. So you'll be able to, I've got some of this, and I'll talk to you about the papers. So we've got from Bockingford Rough, you know Bockingford because quite a lot of you use it, or Langton's about the same, right through to hot press paper, which I haven't introduced you to at all yet. So we'll do all that. I think I better stop there before I actually ruin it.